Welcome, everyone. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're bringing a deeply human, honestly just incredibly profound story to life in this explainer. We're looking at the origin of Jesus Christ, but, we're really going to focus in on the physical and emotional journey of Mary and Joseph. Because this isn't just a story of grand miracles, right? It's really a heartfelt story of two young parents navigating exhaustion, fear, and ultimately absolute wonder. Let's see how their journey actually began. I want you to literally ground yourself in the physical reality of that night. Try to imagine the sky over Judea just bursting with countless stars. It wasn't some sterile, mythical backdrop. A cold wind moved gently across the hills, and the world seemed, quiet and still. But beneath all that stillness, something that would literally change history forever was about to unfold.
Section 1. A difficult, dusty journey.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that this monumental historical event didn't begin with royalty in a palace, It started with a humble couple from a tiny town called Nazareth, simply trusting God with all their hearts when a Roman ruler ordered a census. But man, the physical toll was immense. This wasn't a quick afternoon stroll. Day one of leaving Nazareth was followed by many, many days of choking dust in the air and these harsh, cold winds sweeping across the desert at night. And remember, Mary was expecting a child. Just think about the sheer courage and faith it took to trek across those rocky hills, only to finally reach Bethlehem and find it completely overflowing with people.
Sorry, no space left. Just imagine hearing those words and feeling Joseph's mounting panic, right? He's a protective father, his wife is completely exhausted, and he is desperately knocking on door after door in this crowded, totally chaotic city. Every inn is full, every single room is taken. Again and again, they're just turned away. You can almost physically feel the weight of his worry as the night gets darker.
Then, finally, a breakthrough. At last, an innkeeper shows some kindness. Now, it's not a grand room, just a small stable behind the inn where the animals rest. But Mary is so exhausted, and Joseph is so incredibly grateful for any shelter at all that he accepts. They walk into that humble little space, completely unaware that it's about to become one of the most sacred places in history.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, Shelter in the Stable.
The contrast of that night really tells the whole story. On one side, you've got the city of Bethlehem, right? Overflowing, rejecting, loud, and just chaotic. But step away from the streets and look at the stable. Resting animals, a profound, isolated quiet, and up above the town, one brilliant star shining brighter than all the rest. They found their refuge not in all that noise, but in the quiet depth of this humble place. And it was right there in that humble place that Jesus Christ was born. It's like the pacing of the entire world just slowed down completely. Mary carefully wrapped her newborn baby in cloth and gently laid him in a manger. The very wind became still. It was just a moment of supreme, sacred intimacy. Imagine the feeling in that room. The source material tells us it felt as if heaven itself had touched the earth. The stars glowed brighter. Just pause for a second and really think about the absolute awe those young parents must have felt looking down at their little child in the glow of that starlight. And peace filled the night. After the dust, the rejection, the sheer panic, and the pain, there was just this immense, temporary relief and absolute wonder. For a brief moment, everything was just perfect. Chapter 3, Visitors in the Night. Let's move to and see how this builds, because the outside world is about to react. See, the isolation of that stable was about to be broken by some truly extraordinary arrivals. Far outside Bethlehem, shepherds were watching their sheep in the dark, when suddenly, out of nowhere, the sky just explodes with light. Imagine their absolute terror. But an angel appeared with a really clear message. Do not be afraid, I bring you good news of great joy. Today in Bethlehem, a Savior has been born. And then the heavens just filled with countless angels praising God. The shepherds immediately rushed through the night, running into the stable and literally falling to their knees in wonder before the tiny child, feeling something incredibly holy and powerful. And they weren't the only ones. Far away, wise men from the east, these scholars who study the stars night after night, they noticed this mysterious new star. They understood that a great king had been born, so they followed it across distant lands and vast deserts. When they finally arrived, they brought precious gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
I mean, put yourself in Mary and Joseph's shoes for a second. How awe-inspiring must it have been to watch these revered, wealthy men bow with deep respect to their little baby lying in a feeding trough? It's a beautiful, peaceful image, isn't it? But it begs a rather terrifying question. Would the world welcome this child? We have to pivot sharply here, because that peaceful narrative of the stable is about to be completely shattered by a very harsh reality. Chapter 4. Fleeing into the dark. The news of this newborn king had reached the ears of Herod the Great. Now he was a powerful and deeply cruel ruler who was absolutely terrified of losing his throne. In his anger and paranoia, Herod secretly ordered his soldiers to search for the child. The danger was imminent, and it was lethal. But that very night, Joseph received an urgent warning in a dream from an angel. The instruction was crystal clear. Take the child and his mother, escape to Egypt, stay there until it is safe. And this brilliantly illustrates Joseph's decisive, fiercely protective instinct as a father. He didn't wait around to see if the rumors were true. He didn't even wait for the sun to come up. He woke up immediately, gathered Mary and baby Jesus, and they disappeared straight into the darkness of the night. He acted instantly to protect his miracle child from the soldiers. They escaped Bethlehem that very night. For many, many days, they crossed highly dangerous desert roads, traveling immense distances on foot, completely upending their entire lives just to keep Jesus safe. God protected them during this incredibly harsh journey, and they stayed down in Egypt for years, until the danger had finally passed, eventually making their way back to their quiet village of Nazareth.
Chapter 5. Raising a Miracle Child.
In those quiet years after the immense danger had faded, Mary and Joseph watched their son grow up among the people of their village. But there was something undeniably different about him. As a boy, he treated everyone with such kindness. He helped the poor, and people genuinely noticed a profound peace in his eyes. But he was also an astounding scholar. By age 12, during a religious festival in Jerusalem, he sat inside the great temple with respected teachers and scholars who debated the scriptures. When he spoke, his understanding was just leaps and bounds beyond anything they had ever heard from a child. The entire temple fell silent as they listened to him. Imagine being Mary and Joseph standing in that crowd. You've protected this child across deserts, you've raised him in a quiet little town, and now you are watching the most educated minds of your day fall completely silent in awe of his wisdom. It must have been this incredible moment of quiet pride, mixed with, perhaps, a lingering worry about what exactly his future held. Years pass. Jesus becomes a man. So the crucial point is that Mary and Joseph's long journey of protecting and raising him is complete, and his own journey is ready to begin. The world around him was filled with suffering, greed, fear, and hopelessness. But one quiet morning, he stood beside the waters of the Jordan River. The sunlight shined over the hills, and there was absolute calmness on his face. He knew the time had come for a great journey of miracles and love. We've seen the incredible resilience of two humble parents making their way through the dust, finding shelter in a stable, fleeing in the dead of night, and raising a child who literally astounded the wise. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this question to reflect on. If this humble, terrifying, and awe-inspiring physical journey was merely the beginning for Mary and Joseph, how will their child's journey of love change the world forever? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating story with me today.